Meet Alice. Alice is a small business owner. She wants to hire somebody for her company. After going through stacks of resumes, she has finally narrowed the search down to 3 candidates: Dan, Betty, and Charles. Both Dan and Betty appear to be perfect matches for everything Alice wants, but Charles is a close second. How will she choose? Finding a match is hard work. Dan, Betty, and Charles have looked through thousands of job posts, revised their resumes dozens of times, and have spoken to many employers. Alice has placed several ads and looked through hundreds of resumes before finding Dan, Betty, and Charles. Alice spends lots of time and money giving her candidates tests, background checks, and interviews to see who is best. After all this spent time, money, and effort, Dan decides he doesn't want to work for Alice's company. Charles and Betty are left. Betty seems to be a better candidate than Charles, so Alice makes her the offer. Because Betty doesn't have any better offers, she takes it. 6 months pass, and now Betty is leaving Alice for a new job. Alice has to find new candidates all over again. That means more job posts, more resumes, and more interviews. So what went wrong? The problem was this: Alice couldn't see what Dan, Charles, and Betty wanted. Even though Betty was a terrific match for what Alice wanted, Alice wasn't a good match for what Betty wanted. For that matter, even though Dan was a terrific match for what Alice wanted, Alice was a horrible match for what Dan wanted. However, that didn't stop Dan and Alice from using a lot of time and energy finding that out. If only Alice and Charles could have seen what they both wanted, then perhaps Alice would have hired Charles instead. The problem here was that both sides couldn't see what the other side wanted. Instead, each side saw only what they wanted. There are plenty of tools that offer one-sided searching and matching. The weakness that they all have in common is that they look at only half of the job picture. That not only are some of the best matches never seen, but it may also take weeks or months for these tools to work. BrainThrob Laboratories introduces a game-changing solution to the employment matching problem called Employma. Using this unique patent-pending technology, candidates and employers can conduct highly customized matching at lightning speed. Employma not only sees hidden matches, but it makes it easier than ever to screen, qualify, and match the best employers and candidates in seconds rather than weeks and months. How do we do this? We first gather all the requirements employers have for candidates and all the requirements job seekers have for employers. Second, Employma collects the candidates' criteria for a good employment match, along with what they offer. Third, Employma collects how both candidates and employers have prioritized their needs. Employma then uses computer wizardry to find the best matches. Then it presents these matches as a ranked list for both employers and candidates. At last, both employers and job seekers can see the whole picture so they can make better decisions. Use it today free and be surprised who you match.